Welcome. In this lecture, we will talk about one of the very fundamental topics under population, development, and environment. So, it pertains to resources, primarily the natural resources. Among this, we would see the various types of resources, the aspects that are covered, role of technology, employment, employability, and the implications of these natural resources. So, to begin with, let's start with a broad outline onto the things that we would be understanding. So we would understand the role of technology, the various aspects, the quantitative and the qualitative aspects under employment, and the various types of unemployment. Then we would focus on the implications of population growth on various parameters, the various factors that affect the environment because of the population. Now, whenever we are talking about all these factors, let's first start with a very basic thing, which is resources. What is resource? Resource is nothing but a means to attain an end. For example, you are studying here, so this is a resource for you. The ultimate objective is to qualify your exam and get a selection. So this is a means to attain the end. So this can be utilized as a resource. Now these resources can be when we talk about population, environment, development, it's primarily what? It is primarily the natural resource. So to keep it simple, resources do not refer to a thing or substance, but it refers to the function that is attached to it, so that that operation or that function satisfies the want. So the want here is to qualify the exam, get a good job and a placement, and therefore this acts as a resource. Now, that satisfaction that you derive varies from resource to resource. Now, what is natural resource? I can say of that whole set of resource, natural resource is a subset. So, in this whole set of resource, the natural resource is a subset of it. Now, this is where you employ energy or matter, which is essential for the functioning of the organisms, population and ecosystem, and this definition was given by Ramade in 1984. Now when I say this is the case, this involves what? It involves fulfillment of various aspects, primarily fulfillment of the physiological requirements, socio-economic requirements, and cultural requirements. Also, there are a large number of things and services which are part of this natural resource. So if we classify natural resources, it could be done on various ways. The first basic classification we talk about is renewable and non-renewable. Non-renewable is further classified as cyclable and non-recyclable. Renewable is what? Renewable is the resources can be replenished through the natural cycles. If I say solar energy, wind energy, tidal energy, these never end. You can reuse them, use them, reuse them. So they can be replenished. However, the non-renewable sources cannot be replenished. They are fixed. For example, if we have a gold mine, you mine a certain amount of gold, then that gold is over. You cannot have further gold mining that could be done. Similarly, fossil fuels, coal, petrol, some other examples, minerals, carbonates, salts, phosphates are other examples. Under this non-renewable sources of energy, we can classify them as recyclable and non-recyclable. Non-recyclable are those which cannot be recycled. 90% of our energy requirement is by fossil fuels. One of the non-recyclable fossil fuel I can say is uranium. So uranium, once it goes into the nuclear reactor, you cannot have that uranium to be reused, right? But there are recyclable non-renewable resources. For example, plastic, you can recycle it. Glass, that can be recycled, but these are all not found in the raw state. But those found in the raw states could be fertilizers. You can reuse those fertilizers for phosphates, for potassium, for nitrates, right? Then there are certain things which can be used in natural state. For example, clay, mica, all of these are recyclable, but they are non-renewable. They are present in a fixed amount. You have mica present in a fixed amount, but it can be recycled again into mica. So that's important. Now, another classification says biotic and abiotic. Biotic means living, abiotic means non-living. So, difference is here living and non-living. Very, very simple, right? The next is exhaustible and inexhaustible. The resources which are not changed or exhausted by human activities are called as inexhaustible. For example, solar energy, atomic energy, wind energy, tidal energy. All of these are inexhaustible sources. However, we do have exhaustible sources which are present in certain limited quantity and get over as they develop. So, we have various exhaustible resources. For example, those get over, right? So, a good example would be coal, petrol, fossil fuels. All of these are exhaustible resources. Coming on next is another classification based on stages of development. Based on stages of development, I can say resources can be potential or actual in nature. Potential are those that exist or they have been existed and may be used in the future as well. Actual are those which have been surveyed and we know the real existence of those. So for the actual, we know the location, we know the quantity, right, and the technology to exploit them. However, the potential are future resources. We can say these are found or these would be found in the following areas. So we call them as potential resources. So we have understood what is a actual resource, what is a potential resource. The next is ubiquitous and localized. Ubiquitous, a good example is water. The resources which are found everywhere, right? So these resources are found everywhere. Localized are found in certain places. For example, you can have metal ores, geothermal energy, silver, gold, copper. They are found in specific areas and therefore they are called as localized resources. So we understand the difference between ubiquitous, one which is present everywhere, water, soil, light, air are ubiquitous. Localized are present in specific locations and at specific places. So again, that's really important to understand. The major natural resources that we would discuss today include forest, water, minerals, food, energy and land. Under energy, we have already understood renewable and non-renewable sources. Land resources are interesting because they have two values associated to it. One is they are finite and other is they are valuable sources, right? Now these forests, why are they so unique? These forests are having a dense growth of trees or other plants and they cover most of the natural resources. So 1/3 of the world area has to be covered under forest, be it an open forest or a closed forest. For example, 1/5 of the world forests are found in USSR. Brazil has 7th largest number. US has around 6 to 7% of the forest cover globally. Now these figures are really important because recently we have seen in Brazil there has been a phenomena of Amazon rainforest reaching the tipping point. That means the forest fire activities have become so violent in those regions that the forest is now burning it on itself. And once it reaches the tipping point, there would be no other case where that could be actually attained. So, what are some of the important things we need to understand from forest resources? Nearly 1/2 of the timber which is cut every year is used for heating and cooking purpose. 1/3 of the wood goes for building material for the lumbering purpose. 1/6 of the wood is converted into paper and pulp.